You called me here, Holmes.
Ah, yes, Watson, I did. Please, have a seat.
Right here.
Watson, you've read Shakespeare before, yes?
Well, yes, of course I have.
So then you remember the play Hamlet?
Well, it has been a while since I've read it, but I remember it mostly. Why do you ask?
Well, I was rereading it, and I found some very interesting things that made me think about it in a completely different manner. Like, for example, Act 1, Scene 1. The very first scene in the play shows the spirit of King Hamlet, which resembles an omen in the play, which is quite funny if you compare it with the rest of Shakespeare's other works.
What do you mean by that, Holmes?
You see, Watson, there was a similar sort of omen in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which was one that predicted his inevitable assassination. In Shakespeare's style of Old English literature, he had a way of masterfully foreshadowing great tragedies in a great deal of his works.
Impressive, Holmes. But something tells me you're not finished.
You know me too well, Watson. Another interesting fact that I found in this play lies in Act 1, Scene 3, where Polonius is speaking with Laertes about what he should do when he heads to France.
Laertes, that's Hamlet's sort of rival, is it not?
Indeed it is, but they're actually a lot more similar than one may presume.
Do tell.
Well, it's as if their contrasting relationships are nearly perfect. For example, Laertes is supposed to be the rival for Hamlet, but his relationship with his father and the conversations they have are very normal and plain in that era. But on the other hand, Hamlet, our protagonist of the story, speaks with the dead spirit of his father, and the conversation they have is practically what drives Hamlet further down this path of suggestive madness, which is very contrasting when put up against the simplicity of Laertes' family. But they can also be compared to the fact that they love Ophelia in a similar way despite their different relationships with her.
Wait, but isn't Laertes the older brother of Ophelia?
Yes, but if the concept of one's uncle marrying one's own mother seems normal in this period, I feel I have the right to prove that point.
Well done, Holmes. I'm glad you got to share.
Would you like to hear one more?
Well, it's not like I had a choice. Go right ahead.
Let us bring it to Hamlet once again in his most famous monologue. Act 3, Scene 1.
To be or not to be.
Yes, to be or not to be. Watson, what do you think Hamlet is implying when he's speaking in this scene?
Well, if I remember correctly, he is consulting committing suicide, ending all of his sorrows then and there.
That's what they want you to think, Watson. And while that does make the most sense, sometimes you have to read between the lines and read with your brain and not your eyes. Here, read it.
Nothing is different, Holmes.
Are you sure you can't see it? Like maybe an absence of a certain few words?
My God. He never talks about himself directly in this monologue at all. There is not a single trace of the words me or I anywhere.
Nor is there any point where he talks about being in any mental or emotional pain. Excellent observation, Watson.
But what does that mean, Sherlock? Could it mean that Shakespeare wishes to instill the feeling of doubt that Hamlet feels inside the audience?
Well, that's what I initially presumed, but I will need to dig deeper later.
Excellent deduction, Sherlock. This tale really makes one admire the legendary playwright and his works of art. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to the case I was in the middle of.
Oh, yes, of course. My apologies.